just signed a 1-month contract to drive a Formula One car. Not simulate it, not watch it from the garage. Actually drive it at speeds that kill people who make one wrong move. 30 days. Let's see if I survive week 1. Day 1 starts before sunrise. I'm standing in a paddock that smells like burnt rubber and jet fuel, and a team engineer hands me a fireproof suit 2 sizes too tight. He says something I don't expect. Most rookies don't crash because of speed. They crash because they forget to breathe. I laugh. He doesn't. 20 minutes later, I'm strapped into a cockpit so tight I can feel my own heartbeat through the seat, and the engineer reminds me that if I need to get out in an emergency, I have less than 5 seconds to do it before the heat becomes a real problem. The car itself feels less like a vehicle and more like a weapon someone forgot to point somewhere safe. The seat is molded so tight I can't move my hips. The steering wheel has more buttons than my car's entire dashboard, and half of them I'm told not to touch until week 2. First laps are at half throttle, and even at half throttle, my neck feels like it's being pulled off my spine every time I brake. By the end of day 1, my forearms are shaking just from holding the wheel steady. By day 3, I understand why F1 drivers train like Olympic athletes. The G-forces in the corners are strong enough to make my vision tunnel for half a second. Half a second at 200 miles an hour is enough distance to hit a wall. I start blacking out slightly in high-speed turns, and the team pulls me in immediately. Apparently that's normal. Apparently that's also how careers end early. They put me on a neck strength program that afternoon, because without it, my body simply isn't built to survive a full season of this. Day 7, I get my first real taste of what this sport actually punishes: overtaking. I'm sitting half a car length behind another driver, both of us doing over 180, and the gap I need to slide through is smaller than my car's own mirrors. I chicken out. The team doesn't say anything, but I can feel it. In this sport, hesitation costs more than mistakes. That night, one of the engineers tells me something that sticks with me. In F1, the car that backs off first has already lost, even if it finishes the race. 2 weeks in, something shifts. My body starts adapting in ways I didn't think were possible. My neck stops aching after long sessions. My hands stop shaking when I grip the wheel through corners. I'm braking later, turning in tighter, and for the first time, the car feels less like it's trying to throw me off and more like it's listening to me. I ask the engineer if this feeling ever goes away. He tells me no. If anything, it gets more addictive. Then day 16 happens, and it almost ends everything. Coming out of a blind corner at full speed, another car spins directly into my path. I have less than a second to decide, and instinct takes over before thought does. I clip the wall hard enough to shred the front wing, but I stay upright. My hands are shaking for an hour afterward, and I can't stop replaying the half second before impact in my head. The engineer tells me that decision is the exact skill they can't teach. You either have it or you don't. Apparently I have it, and that changes how the team looks at me for the rest of the month. Day 20, I'm allowed to run a simulated qualifying lap, alone on the track, no other cars, just me chasing a single perfect run. This is where F1 actually separates people. It's not about surviving a lap. It's about finding 1/100th of a second in a corner you've already driven 50 times. I shave off half a second from my personal best, and the team actually applauds. It's the first time in 20 days anyone on this team has smiled at me, and honestly, it feels better than the lap itself. Day 25, they throw me into wet weather conditions, and everything I learned in the dry becomes almost useless. The car slides differently, brakes later, grips less. I spin out twice in one session, and each time, the car stalls for a few seconds that feel like minutes. This is the part nobody tells you about becoming a driver. You don't just learn the car once. You relearn it every single time the conditions change, forever, and there's no shortcut around that. By day 28, my body looks different than it did a month ago. My forearms are visibly bigger from fighting the wheel for hours a day. My resting heart rate has dropped. My reaction time, according to their tests, has improved by almost 20%. This sport doesn't just test you, it rebuilds you, whether you want it to or not, down to how your brain processes danger. Day 30 arrives, and they put me in a full simulated race, 20 laps, against 3 other development drivers who've been doing this far longer than me. I start last. For the first 10 laps, I'm cautious, just trying not to embarrass myself. But somewhere around lap 12, that half-second decision-making from day 16 kicks back in, and I take a gap I wouldn't have dared touch a month earlier. 2 laps later, I do it again, this time on the outside of a corner that terrified me on day 1. I finish the race in 2nd place, and the team goes quiet for a second before someone finally says what I've been waiting a month to hear. That's a race driver's move. 30 days ago, I couldn't hold a steady line through a single corner without my hands shaking. Today, I'm braking at speeds that would have terrified me a month ago, and it feels almost normal. That's the part that scares me the most. Not the crash on day 16. Not the blackouts in the corners. It's how fast the body and the mind adapt to something built to kill you until it just becomes another Tuesday. When I pack up my gear for the last time, one of the engineers tells me something I didn't expect to hear. He says most people who try this program quit by day 10, not because the car is too hard to drive, but because the fear never goes away. It just gets managed better. He says I lasted because I stopped trying to make the fear disappear and started using it to stay sharp instead. That single sentence explains more about this sport than anything I felt behind the wheel. I don't know if I'll ever sit in a car like that again, but for 30 days, I lived inside one of the most dangerous jobs on the planet, and it changed what my body is capable of in ways I'm still not fully used to. If you want to see what happens when I try the next job on the list, you already know where to find it.